So you want to talk about communism? Okay, fine. Let's talk about that. Sometimes people have been so brainwashed by their programming that they make assumptions and jump to conclusions before they know all the facts. A good example of this is when I talk about Donald Trump. Some people assume that if I don't support Trump, then that must mean that I support Kamala Harris. And that simply isn't the case. I think they're both fake. Or if I say, for example, that I'm not a Republican, aha, then that must mean I'm a Democrat. No. What they have a hard time understanding is that those are both false choices. Neither one of those are real. That would be like asking me if unicorns make good pets, and if I don't agree, then they assume that I think that griffins make great pets. The similarity, the similarity here is that none of these things are real. It's just as real as wrestling or something. So, with that in mind, let's talk about politics on a somewhat more worldly level. Just like how people get fooled into thinking politics are real, they also get fooled into thinking political differences on a world level are somehow real. The whole thing's fake. They are not real. This is just another layer of the deception of this world. So, we're going to peel back the illusion and see that communism, masonry, and other factors are all really branches of the same tree, similar to how right wing and left wing are all from the same bird. Now, keep in mind that the deception runs deep, so you might read a bunch of gatekeepers out there on the internet say that Karl Marx was not a Freemason. These things are red herrings put out there to throw you off the scent. But you do what you got to do. It's not easy to wake up. Sometimes you have to hit the snooze button quite a few times before you finally wake up. So don't buy this crap that Karl Marx was not a Freemason. Karl Marx was absolutely a Freemason. First, let's look at some evidence. Like, take a look at this photograph of Karl Marx. Do you see that weird way he puts his hand underneath his jacket? Yeah, that's a sign of the master of the second veil, more commonly known as the lion's paw. That is a hand gesture of Freemasonry's Royal Arch degree. There are photos of, I should say, there are paintings of Napoleon and pictures of other Masons doing the same exact hand gesture. So the picture speaks for itself. Don't believe me? There's a photograph of him. He's basically throwing down his Freemasonry gang sign right in front of you. Let the picture speak for itself. Now compare that to all these people who will try to tell you that Karl Marx was not a Freemason, when you can see for your own eyes he absolutely was a Freemason. He's telling you that in the picture. Now let's take a look at high-ranking Mason Albert Pike's letter written to fascist Mazzini in 1871. In this letter, Albert Pike predicted 3 world wars. Pike writes, "The First World War was to be fought so as to enable the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the czars in Russia and turn that country into the stronghold of atheistic communism." That absolutely happened, just as Pike had predicted 50 years later. Not convinced? No worries. Let's read more of the evidence, shall we? Okay, some of this is hard to read, so I want to apologize up front for these next quotes. On the 5th of July, 1843, at the Lodge Le Socialiste in Brussels, the Masonic leader Ragon submitted the draft for the Revolutionary Plan of Action, which was later made into the Communist Manifesto. The Lodge Le Socialiste sent their proposal to their and Belgium's largest Masonic authority, Supreme Council de Belgique, and they unanimously decided to accept Ragon's anarchist program as corresponding to the Masonic doctrine concerning the social question that the world, which is united in Grand Orient, should with all conceivable means aim to realize it. That's from Bulletin de Grand Orient, June 1843. On 17th of November 1845, Karl Marx became a member of the Lodge Les Socialistes. In February 1848, Marx published his quote-unquote Communist Manifesto on the orders of the Masonic leadership. Marx and Engels were Freemasons of the 31st degree. Vladimir Istorkov, quote unquote, The Battle of the Russian Gods, Moscow, 2000, page 154. That's how you can look that up. In 1847, Marx and Engels became members of the League of Just Men, one of the Illuminati's underground branches where the Jew Jacob Venede played an important role. In Das Kapital, 1867, Marx also believed it absolutely necessary to stress the need of violence in socialist actions. He wrote, Violence is the midwife who helps a new society struggle out from the womb of the old. Now, this is from 1848, the year of revolution, the first wave. Only a few months after the founding of the Communist Party, revolutions began to break out in various countries. 1848 became the great year of revolutions. The Rothschild family was in charge of the financial side and the League of Communists of the planning. The Rothschilds had become enormously wealthy in connection with the French Revolution. That's from 1789 to 1799, when the empires and kingdoms needed to borrow money in amounts previously unparalleled. The Rothschilds had Europe's best information system with their own couriers, who always managed to bring them decisive news, that is, the outcome of the Battle of Waterloo, before anyone else did. Before the rulers got wind of it, according to Derek Wilson, the Rothschilds family in 1847, Lionel Rothschild had become the first Jewish member of the British Parliament. So, isn't it kind of odd that there were so many revolutions going on in the world around that time? I mean, there was a revolution in France that Benjamin Franklin was involved in, and then lo and behold, people like Benjamin Franklin were also behind the American Revolution. As we previously discussed, Masons were behind the overthrow of the Tsars as well in Russia. Now, I realize that you were told all this time that these events were the results of people who were inspired by the pursuit of liberty, but that is simply not true. This was all about putting the Brotherhood into positions of power. Very similar to all the wars fought today for the Rothschilds that we were lied to about. But we'll save that part for another day. So, just to recap, Freemasonry is linked to communism and corporate capitalism on the world stage. And Freemasonry is linked to all those revolutions at that time and many wars after that for years, including 911. They always control both sides, whether that is in national politics or on the world stage. And yes, this whole world is indeed a stage. Now, think about the United States. We are not a communist country. We are a democratic republic, at least in name. The truth is that we are more of an oligarchy, but I'm not going to dive into that right now. But let's look at some evidence, shall we? Let's see. The founding fathers were Freemasons. The Declaration of Independence was written on a Masonic apron. The White House was designed by Masons. The Statue of Liberty was designed by Masons. The Pledge of Allegiance was written by Masons. Yeah, think about that one. The anthem was written by Masons. The Stars and Stripes was designed by Masons. Hell, even the national pastime, baseball, is Masonic. Just look at the baseball field. You're going to see the square and compass right there. The graduation ceremony with the tassel is Masonic. So yeah, this capitalist country is Masonic. Deal with it. I don't know what to tell you. So how can a capitalist country and a communist country both be Masonic? Well, the answer is they are both playing out the roles like characters in a script. It's no different than politics, political theater, where you act like Democrats and Republicans are different. And the truth is, they're really just serving their roles in the whole big scam. The whole thing is a puppet show. You have to see it with eyes to see. If you're blind, you're not going to get it. I don't know what to tell you. Now, as far as things go, I would rather live in a capitalist country than a communist country. Communism would suck. I'm just going to be honest about it. That is definitely not what I want. But at the end of the day, the Masons control both sides. The rest is an illusion of the world. Now, to bring it back to the spirit, our home is not of this world. We are merely passing through. Now, many people will tell you that we have to do something. If only we all got together and fought back. But you know what? Jesus already won. So what they're saying really is that they are still in this world. This is not one of those things you can have both ways. Either you believe the word or you believe the world, but you can't have both. Jesus said, "Give to Caesar what is Caesar's," among other things. That means we are not here for politics. If you are one of those people who preaches that we need to do something, quote unquote, then you either have to admit you are still in the world or you have to believe that Jesus has not already won. So I am not down for communism, but I do not put my faith in any political system. The Jews are still looking for a worldly Messiah, and sadly enough, so are many of the people who say they believe in Christ, but they really believe in the world, and they don't even realize it, that they're still choosing Barabbas. So, is communism bad? Of course communism is bad, but it goes deeper than that. Capitalism versus communism is just another version of socialist left versus conservative right. They control both sides. It is like the Masonic black and white tiles, if you will. Or think of it like the two pillars of masonry, kind of like the Twin Towers on 9/11, who were brought together to form one tower. E pluribus unum, out of many come one. One as in one world religion, one world digital currency, one world government, one united people, just like in the days of the Tower of Babel. God bless all who watch this in Jesus' name.